The interior of Global Sky's Flight 21 was a study in pressurized isolation. Saraphina Jones, the CEO of Ethereum Dynamics, ED, was not merely a passenger. She was an operational necessity. The $5 billion deal, the acquisition of a critical, legacy banking platform, was set to close during the precise 6-hour window when the A380 would be at its most stable altitude, ensuring the security of the satellite communication link. This was not luxury travel. It was a mobile, high-security command center. Saraphina knew the stakes. Ethereum Dynamics was poised to shift from merely securing the global economy to actively underwriting it. Their rival, Mantis Group, a shadowy conglomerate known for its aggressive, bordering on illegal market maneuvers, was trying to launch a counterbid. Mantis specialized in soft sabotage, minor disruptions designed to create critical, irreversible timing failures for their opponents. Saraphina reached her destination, Suite 1A. The seat wasn't just a pod. It was a highly customized module, specially installed for ED's frequent executive travel, featuring a microfaraday cage and a dedicated, encrypted uplink. It was the only place on Earth she could guarantee the required secure signing environment within the deadline. But 1A was occupied. Caroline Harrington, a woman whose diamonds sparkled brighter than her sense of place, was already fully entrenched. She had commandeered the suite, treating the console as a casual dumping ground for designer luggage and half-empty champagne flutes. The moment Saraphina spoke, a simple, measured request to vacate the assigned seat, the air instantly charged with hostility. "I have 1A," Saraphina stated, her voice calm, projecting the quiet confidence of someone who had zero tolerance for inefficiency. Caroline barely looked up, dismissing Saraphina with a single contemptuous sweep of her pale eyes. "No, you don't, darling. The manifest is clearly mistaken. I am a premier patron. I requested the window. I suggest you check with the girl at the gate. I absolutely refuse to sit in the galley aisle, and I find the crowding back here quite unnecessary." The casual bigotry was not unexpected, but the aggression was pronounced. Saraphina noticed the time. T-minus 10 minutes to pushback. Every second lost was a second gained by the Mantis Group, whose activities she was tracking on a small secondary monitor integrated into her watch. The Mantis Group's market activity had spiked 15 minutes ago, a classic sign they were readying their own counterstrike, likely anticipating Saraphina's boarding time. "Ma'am, I have a time-sensitive, secure transaction scheduled." "Please move," Saraphina insisted, cutting through the pleasantries. "My ticket is 1A, yours is 1C. Caroline finally lifted her head, her face twisting into a sneer. "Time-sensitive? Oh, I am certain it is. But this is the adult section. Frankly, I find your insistence on this specific seat, at the expense of established clientele, utterly telling. You are clearly trying to leverage some kind of entitlement." She paused, leaning in with venomous faux discretion. "And I don't deal with people like you creating this kind of public scene." The flight attendant Marco arrived, trembling under the weight of the conflict. He confirmed the manifest. "Ms. Harrington, you are in 1A. Your seat is 1C. We are now 2 minutes from scheduled pushback." "Then move her," Caroline demanded, pointing a rigid finger at Saraphina. "Global Skies bends over backward for the Harringtons. You know my family. I am not moving for a digital upstart who thinks she can buy the window seat." Marco, seeing his career dissolve, retreated to fetch the ultimate authority, Captain David Allister. The captain arrived grim-faced. He was a man of routine and regulation. He spoke with the firm authority of the cockpit. "Ms. Harrington, this aircraft is sealed. You are in the wrong seat. Vacate it now or you will be forcibly removed." "Try it," Caroline hissed, pulling out a gleaming titanium card, a Global Skies Board of Directors patron pass. "I just spoke with board member Henderson 2 weeks ago. He assured me that under the new High-Value Guest Protection Act, no premier patron shall be removed from an aircraft without a personal authorization from the group CEO. Henderson's new rule, Captain. Check your operational manual updates from last month. I bet they haven't filtered down to a mere pilot." Captain Allister's jaw went slack. He pulled up his digital manual. The policy was there, buried in a recent update. A seemingly innocuous, complex clause championed by a new, aggressive board faction, a faction secretly bankrolled by the Mantis Group to complicate Global Sky's operational agility. The policy was designed specifically to protect high-profile political donors and, inadvertently, to create leverage for Mantis-backed disruptions. The policy states that unless there is an immediate threat to the aircraft, I require authorization from Sir Richard Sterling, Group CEO, to remove a platinum-tier patron, the captain murmured, defeated. The time was ticking into the red zone. The deal window was shrinking. Caroline smiled, a triumphant, ugly gesture. Exactly, Captain. Call Sir Richard, then. I'll wait. The captain was trapped. Calling Sir Richard Sterling, the legendary reclusive group CEO, over a seating dispute was unthinkable, a career-ending move. He looked at Saraphina, true VIP whose presence was flagged with code, Sentinel, and realized the political cost of the, policy failure was now exponentially higher than the cost of the career-ending call. Saraphina had seen enough. The conflict was no longer about a seat. It was a procedural attack, a calculated soft sabotage designed to burn her clock. The spike in Mantis Group activity was confirming her suspicion. Caroline Harrington was a sophisticated distraction. Saraphina stepped back, pulled out her secure proprietary satellite phone, and dialed. She did not dial the airline's corporate number. She dialed a private, red-level emergency line reserved for only 3 people outside of Sir Richard's immediate family, a line that bypassed all corporate firewalls, PAs, and security. The call landed not on Sir Richard's desk, but in the middle of a private, high-stakes emergency board meeting where he was fighting a corporate coup. His rival, a Mantis-backed executive named Adrian Thorne, was pushing a surprise, hostile vote to restructure the company's crucial logistics subsidiary, the very subsidiary Saraphina's deal was meant to stabilize. The secure line, rarely used, screamed a digital alarm throughout the room. Sir Richard Sterling, sweat beading on his brow from the fight, snapped up the phone. Sterling. Sir Richard, this is Saraphina Jones. I'm on Flight 21, currently delayed on the ground. I have a zero-tolerance deadline, and your own company policy is being exploited to run out my clock. Saraphina spoke in clipped, cold terms, avoiding emotion and focusing purely on operational impact. A platinum patron, Caroline Harrington, is refusing to move from my assigned, specially equipped comms pod. 1A. She is using the new High-Value Guest Protection Act to prevent the captain from removing her. This is not a seating dispute. This is a targeted corporate sabotage attempt. Sir Richard went silent. He looked across the boardroom table at Adrian Thorne, who was watching him with a predatory smirk. Thorne was the author of that Protection Act. It was a policy designed to make the airline unrunnable when corporate heavyweights clashed. Sabotage confirmed, Sir Richard said, his voice dropping to a gravelly snarl. He understood immediately. If Saraphina failed to close the deal, not only would Global Skies lose a critical partner, but the Mantis Group would gain the leverage to fully execute their hostile takeover of his logistics arm. Saraphina's crisis was now his crisis. Saraphina, your deadline is my priority. Disregard everything. I am activating Emergency Power Edict 7, Sir Richard stated, bypassing all corporate bureaucracy and board oversight. The delay is about to become official. I will deliver the solution. You just focus on the deal. Sir Richard slammed down the phone and looked directly at Adrian Thorne. The vote is tabled. I have an immediate, unmitigated crisis involving a $5 billion external partner and direct evidence of corporate malfeasance on a ground operation. Within 90 seconds, the internal Global Skies communication system suffered a catastrophic, network-wide blackout, Sir Richard's team isolating the network to prevent leaks. Then the order went out through a secure, redundant military channel used only for genuine air emergencies. Ground stop. Flight 21. Immediate aircraft immobilization. On the A380, the captain's consoles erupted with red lights and sirens. Not just a simple delay, but a full airport-wide system-level ground stop order impacting all flights scheduled for the immediate pushback sequence. Captain Alistair staggered back. This is unprecedented. We've caused a ground stop for the entire terminal. Caroline Harrington's triumphant smile dissolved into sheer terror. What did you do? What is happening? At that moment, Saraphina's watch monitor flashed an encrypted message from Sir Richard's team. Edict 7 activated. Clear the pod. Execute the transaction. We handle the collateral. Suddenly, the first-class cabin door burst open. 2 high-ranking airport police officers entered, followed by a Global Skies chief of security, their faces grim. Captain Alistair, by order of the Global Skies Group CEO, we are executing a Level 3 passenger deplaning and permanent ban edict, the security chief announced, looking directly at Caroline. Ms. Harrington, you are now legally trespassing on a secured aircraft. Gather your essentials. You are being removed and banned from all Global Skies properties for life. Caroline shrieked, scrambling up. This is tyranny. I will sue. I know people. I'm a patron. You can't ruin my life over a seat. As the officers began the forcible removal, Saraphina leaned over, her voice barely a breath, but slicing through the chaos. It wasn't about the seat, Ms. Harrington. It was about time. You delivered your mandate, but you failed to deliver the final blow. As Caroline Harrington was being muscled down the jet bridge, still fighting and screaming, a crucial, hidden layer of the plot unfolded. She was desperately clutching her purse to her ear, making a frantic call. The police officer paused near the door to secure the cabin perimeter. Saraphina, sitting in 1A and feigning disinterest, activated a directional, micro-audio pickup on her secure wrist cuff, designed for noisy, sensitive environments. She heard a fragmented whisper from Caroline's call. The delay is 5 minutes. I couldn't hold it longer. Tell Thorne the window is still open. Tell him Flight 114 is still clear. Saraphina froze. Flight 114, Adrian Thorne. The ground stop was causing chaos for all departing flights, not just Flight 21. Saraphina accessed the external flight board feed. Flight 114, scheduled to depart 5 minutes after Flight 21, was a nonstop to the same London airport, carrying a delegation of corporate lawyers and high-level financiers known to be working for Adrian Thorne and the Mantis Group. Saraphina realized the full, terrifying scope of the sabotage. Caroline's job wasn't just to delay Saraphina. It was to hold this specific flight just long enough for Flight 114 to be cleared first, giving Mantis's team a crucial 30-minute lead time, enough to sabotage the legal paperwork on the London end. Caroline hadn't failed. She had succeeded in delaying Flight 21 enough to ensure her allies on Flight 114 would take off first. The true twist: Sir Richard Sterling's ground stop order hadn't just removed a patron. It had, in a beautiful piece of corporate collateral, grounded Flight 114 as well, trapping Thorne's key allies on the tarmac. The captain, under immense pressure, slammed the throttle. Flight 21 finally took off, 10 minutes late. Saraphina didn't waste a second. She activated her pod, the microfaraday mesh sealing around her seat, turning it into a dedicated, unbreachable communications hub. The deal clock had started, but the suspense wasn't over. 30 minutes into the flight, just as Saraphina was initiating the secure handshake protocol, the screen on her custom-built laptop flickered. A complex, persistent DDoS attack was hitting the ED negotiation servers. It wasn't a standard brute force attack. It was a highly sophisticated, quantum-level encryption destabilization attempt. Mantis was using a compromised third-party satellite, likely a military relic they had illegally repurposed, to specifically target the high-altitude link, exploiting the 1-minute handshake window. Saraphina knew that if the handshake failed, the deal was dead. She had to pivot her communications entirely. She bypassed the compromised primary satellite link and rerouted the entire $5 billion transaction payload through the airline's obscure, high-security, internal flight operations data conduit, the one used for transmitting black box data and engine telemetry back to headquarters. It was a ludicrously slow, low-bandwidth connection, but it was encrypted and, crucially, maintained a private, direct link to Sir Richard's network. She looked at the captain's comms console through her internal pod viewer. A cascade of low-priority error messages was flooding his system. The Mantis attack was successfully drowning the entire Global Skies network in junk data, intending to break the internal comms as well. Working against the clock, Saraphina used a specialized quantum key compression algorithm to shrink the massive legal document by 98%, reducing it to a packet small enough to fit through the emergency telemetry channel. She had only seconds. The Mantis attack was closing in, threatening to burn out the router on the flight deck. Packet sent. Saraphina watched the progress bar crawl at a terrifying rate. 1%. 5%. On the flight deck, Captain Alistair saw the internal router starting to smoke, overwhelmed by the data flood. He was about to manually kill the connection to save the hardware, when a single coded message flashed on his screen, overriding all alarms. Complete 1 acknowledge do not break link. He held his breath, staring at the smoke. On Saraphina's screen, the confirmation box solidified. 5,000 Sire. Acquisition complete. Signed and attested. The Mantis Group's DDoS attack hit the final firewall a moment later, crashing the entire external link, but it was too late. Saraphina had used the airline's own plumbing and Sir Richard's absolute internal authority to bypass the sabotage entirely. She leaned back in the perfectly quiet, secure seat 1A, her eyes closed. The turbulent, high-stakes digital firefight was over. She had defeated a procedural attack on the ground and a high-tech assault in the air, all by keeping her focus relentlessly on the single, most critical pathway to success. Her power was not in the diamonds or the bluster, but in the cold, precise knowledge of a system's true vulnerabilities and its ultimate levers of command.